Hello guys, can you hear me? Sound check, sound check. My camera looks quite bad, doesn't it? Or is it just my eyesight? Sounds good, alright. But I'm not sure what's up with the cam, or is it only for me? Utan, thanks for the subscription. Kitten 2 on mobile when? I'm not sure when. It's very grainy indeed. I think so too, but I think it got better now actually on my end. Let's see. All right. I'm not sure if I can get more light in here. It's camera isn't the best. The light is not too bright in here. When you're growing your beard out and joining a biker gang, do I have to grow even more beard for that? I didn't know. Good evening. All right, let's see. So a little update on the latest. Let me just see if I got some art. So we've been working very hard on the big Necropatch. We have postponed it quite a bit. We wanted to fix a lot of stuff, bugs and polish along with this one. And it looks to be finally about done. We are going through testing still to make sure that hopefully nothing broken, and it should give a great experience when it comes to the new areas. So we're not releasing it today. We do not wish to release patches in the end of the weeks, such as Thursdays or Fridays, usually, since you know, want to make sure that everything is as stable as possible before the main team takes vacation. So we are hoping for and looking at next week if nothing goes totally bad during the last test sessions. So that's the best estimate I can give at this point. So yeah, hopefully things will be approved. Nothing bad or critical or game breaking discovered during the last tests. Regarding the heavy shields that we have finished now as well, there's quite a debate and tons of feedback regarding those balance wise, and we agree that we want to get them as balanced as possible when we get new type of tools into the game. So we're actually we need some more time to balance the huge towers, such as tower shields. So we're going through some balancing sessions there as well before we give them to you guys. So yeah, hopefully early next week is our estimate. Fingers crossed that the last testing sessions goes smoothly. Yeah, so other types of shields like kite shields is planned for somewhere after. So we did extremes pretty much, small round common shields to tower shields the tower shields are very large and hold in a different way, so it requires additional sets of animation combination for all weapons, which is quite a bit. And of course, the whole huge blocking mesh for tower shield have went through quite a bit of testing as well, so we don't break visuals or hitboxes or stuff like that. So most of that is fully done now. We just want to make sure that there's a balance factor as well in terms of pros and cons. Obviously, a huge shield with a big big mesh that blocks a lot of incoming blows. Along with that huge shield, obviously there's a weight involved, and we want to make sure that that balance is proper as well. And yeah, we decided to give the full size options for the tower shield. So you can pick the biggest one. Even though you're small, it doesn't shrink as in most other games. It will remain large. So being the smallest character with the largest shield may block your visibility fully, but it will also be a walking huge shield, which is quite cool. But I'm not sure the tactics and usability behind it, but it's up to you guys. So you may have to play around with the different sizes there. We gathered some feedback on the taming range for taming. So we added text and information for your chances to, if it's possible, if you gain or not. Before that, we didn't have any information, and it was just a huge guessing game. So now you at least get the information. But yes, at the lowest range, it is a very small range that you do if you are able to tame it or not. And obviously, like I said, we are gathering those information. If we see that this is something that is mostly annoying frustration, obviously we're looking to refine some of those things. With shield sizes customizable. There are different types of frame sets. You can choose from smaller to very large ones. So yeah, you pick the size and style, and along with the size, obviously the more weight goes into it as well. Can you talk about rituals being capped to one common pet and not using pet points is going to ruin the experimentation of having an undead horde? So rituals is a very specific bound to can be very powerful undead pets. So in that case, you're not creating many of them. You're investing quite a bit of effort to make very specific pets. There will be a lot of options to choose from and refine them with rares and so on. When it comes to raising the dead walkers, that is a summoning skill that you will be able to use, which is separate, and it doesn't add to a pet points pool or the ritual pets either. And so there's if you have a ritual pet and you also get a tamed pet, that ritual pet will attack the living pet. They don't go well together. So you have to choose wisely which route you're going for there. You can't combine them. And that is obviously also a balance factor, that you can't go for the highest pet points pet and also the highest or a strong ritual pet. On Necromancy, Minos and Trolls working in the Tessor, can you show them? Yes, you can create ritual for those creatures. We Mage could get a pulse after this. It's such a small segment that get to use it, since we only have one character. So, as you may have seen on our website, we did an update on our current focus, which is heavily focused on polishing and bug fixing. we have made a quite good list based on your feedback and bug reports, and we have a prioritized order on them, and that is a list that we want to crush and completely solve in our upcoming patches. So the coming patches won't be huge, long wait, huge features. We're gonna make sure we crush all those bugs effectively, quickly in a few patches where that is the main focus. And then we are going back to the feature list, continuing that path as well. So we all believe that obviously having stability and a polished game will be better for the long run rather than having annoying bugs and frustration that over time may push out players new and old. So we need to get that fully covered. Yeah, there are house item issues that is on the list. And obviously that's also why we haven't started any subscription while we are in this state. So yeah, so with this Necropatch, it's one of the in-between with tons of content features, but also a huge amount of bug fixes. So that's why also taking quite a lot of time, and also we wanted to make sure that all the new features and content are as heavily tested we can and secured. So there's a lot of new creatures content in a few categories that comes along with this Necropatch. So quite a large new necro dungeon area to explore in different ways. We also have a few updates in other places in the world, including bosses, which one of them is a huge, very dangerous boss that brings quite new type of gameplay as well. Krennicott, where is the badge? So as I mentioned in the beginning, we are in testing phase, and if things go smooth and we don't find any bad bugs, we are aiming for early next week is the plan, if things goes smooth. To get more action points with the Necropatch? No. You have got the trinkets that give you different types of skill boosts, bonuses as well. And later on in one of the upcoming feature patches, we will also have the veteran system that will give you further progression in those fields. Did he just say early next month? No, sorry. If I said next month, I meant next week. Did I say month? Sorry. I meant next week, if things goes as planned. I'm a little tired, been working quite a lot. Yes, ring catches have been fixed also for this next patch. An estimate on Unreal 5 transition. No real updates still since last stream. Other than that, you know, things looks we are able to, as it looks, we're able to utilize more than we first thought, which is obviously great because we can use some of the new tech, next generation lighting system and such. But like I mentioned then as well, we do need to go through almost every single material type lightning in the game. So it's quite time consuming for the whole art team to go through all that. But obviously once that's done, it's gonna look awesome. And we're gonna also hopefully, you know, benefit from some of the strengths that are weaker in the older engine, such as level streaming. So there's a few very good things that we're very much looking forward to that will help the game when it comes to traveling in the world. Prepatch trinkets removed. They are updated also in this patch, which we mentioned a while back. They will be updated to the correct stats status along with this patch. That's also something we're testing heavily right now to make sure we don't, mess up the trinkets in any new form or way. So yeah, those old ones that seems to have a higher rate on a low tier will be updated to their correct tier cost, and there may be some additional updates depending on how those points are distributed on the trinkets. Sanfeijin, we will do updates when we go through the process of transitioning into Unreal 5 for sure. We do have some plans to show you that spectacular transition. It's pretty awesome. So we'll try to prepare some dev updates that are exciting in that way, showing the game when we take that transition as well. So you can see a little bit what you can expect when we patch into the new engine as well. So we're planning to do that. So this has been, like I mentioned before, in between patch delivery between two different systems and along with new developers. So it's going to be a good milestone for us internally to release finally Necromancy and be fully on board of the new system structure that should hopefully over time also show you the progression and stability that we are improved on. Maxi PC with the bits. Hi boss, when can we buy race chain service on websites like MO1? And will you limit the like one time per year? We have to look into that a little bit later. There's a few things that we have get requesting questions on. That is one of them, and Haven being possible free to play is one, and there's a few things that we for sure are sure we want to do, such as the free to play on Haven. I think that could be a good way to let a lot of players try it that are unsure or doesn't know what type of game this is, and also help reach out to hopefully new players over time. But as I mentioned, we have a quite specific roadmap lined up for the coming month. For this year, we have a very specific lineup that goes towards the so-called re-release on the additional platforms. So we have to reach those milestones and core pieces first of all. Yeah, so I was also thinking of showing some of the points of interest systems in this stream, but like I said, we are very close to deliver the Necropatch, so everyone have been really focused on delivering and helping as a team to be fully done on a stable way. But yeah, there are coming a lot of cool things when it comes to populate the Mirland in an exciting way, incorporate it to the lore, but also give obviously different types of rewards for the players when traveling the continent. So we could probably do a session on that and show what that is, because it's really cool. I was blown away about how cool some of these areas are, and there's a few different layers of content in them. Everything from obviously threats, opponents, to hidden things, to lore bits, to starts of a journey into deeper lore or different clues that can give players powerful knowledge about different things that obviously can be discovered and used in the game as well. So there's going to be a lot of points of interest that is really awesome and have a lot of depth tied to them as well. There's indeed lore in Nodelines 2. And with Necropatch, there will be a big batch of addition in that category spread out in the world. And like I said, a lot of that will tie to points of interest. So yeah, I haven't really got that together to show some of the points of interest, which that was one option to show. I did get work in progress of one of our lost creatures that I guess I could show. Nothing super exciting, but additional wildlife. Let me see if I have it. Hello there, Luco. Yeah, so we have gathered jungle area crashes that we have fixed. There may be two different types. One of them is for sure fixed. The other one I'm a little bit unsure of at this point. So like I said, a lot of fixes and polish went into this patch as well. Ras Milk Nakov, thank you for the subscription. Let me see if I can show this creature. Let's see who can guess what it is. No patch today, so we try to avoid patching in the end of weeks. It is on the final rounds of testing. If things go smooth, plans are early next week. That's our estimation currently, and yeah, we will know for sure during the weekend, but I remain hopeful. Let me see if I can show. All right, anyone who's first? Who can guess what creature this is? This little baby. What is this? Ellie. No. Rat. No, but not too far away to a rat. There it is. There it is. Lucidus Night Snatch. That is correct. The Night Snatcher. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So we're pretty much done with all those creatures now. Transfer them into the next level of mortal update on the creatures. So we have a few creatures now that are ready. This one will soon be ready, and those will also go into the game in upcoming patches. So there will be a little bit more wildlife and variation. Much more left from the backend improvements. So, like I said, the coming month when we are fully focusing on polishing and bug fixing, that is a lot of the backend work also. So we have a certain milestone. We will present this on a website in an order, so you can see in what kind of order we're looking at, and then we're slowly getting to the content as well. So a lot of that will go into the coming patches. Why is this creature special? It's not very special. It's like one of the missing creatures that we simply hadn't had the time to finish and add to the game, and that is our last batch of creature coming in upcoming patches. node line issues. So the question is if we're talking about node line issues or level streaming lines, which is quite frequently confusion when we talk about it, which is understandable because it's not just Unreal Engine, it's our network solution and Unreal Engine we're working with together. But the good news are that the level streaming lines that have quite a few issues with it will be improved and hopefully fully fixed with stepping on to Unreal 5. There are certain node issues, especially AI issues, that we have on the list of focus that is in upcoming patches as well. And we're doing heavily investments, additional, again, expanding the team, and we are gonna deploy new systems and tools as well, again, in security of the game. We are doing quite a lot of wipes recently. We have been tracking very hard on foul gameplay in different ways, which is one of our biggest, always a big focus for us. It's just something that obviously isn't spectacular and cool and exciting to put on updates, but very important for us, obviously, to have that under control, to make sure that Play Mortal Line needs to be fair gameplay for everyone. The same rules applies to everyone, and those that can't follow those in different ways will be removed and lose their rights to play the game. Yeah, there are also, so this is one of the big challenge when making a so-called true sandbox game where there are no magical rules or fixes or systems in place. Everything is pretty much manual gameplay, right? And obviously, playing around with all these different tools and mechanics, players find out clever things, crazy things, funny things, bad things, all of it, right? And that is always and have always been a huge challenge when it comes to what is foul gameplay and what is, you know, clever and all right and what's not. It's a constant progression that is quite a challenge and battle for the team and also for the players in different cases, which we obviously try to minimize as much as possible so it's clear for the players what's going on and what is allowed and what's not. That is constant being updated, and we're trying to improve it as good as possible. And also when someone finds something new and report it, it's important that we evaluate what that means and what is a correct adjustment or measurement, and especially if the developers can go at the core to solve and fix and balance that to make sure that you know it's right on the right terms again for everyone. That is, like I said, a huge challenge, and it's been an ongoing challenge at all times since we released Mortal Line 1. And obviously that challenge continues in Mortal Line 2, because even though it's the same game, a lot of the core features and such, there's a lot of new type of, I mean, most of the things, all the features are pretty much being recoded and updated. So there are differences, huge differences from the first game and second game. Whenever someone says it's Mortal Line 1 with better graphics, that's completely false and not even close to the truth. The core have been rebuilt, and you know, pretty much all systems have been rebuilt and updated, so they are quite different. Same bugs and exploit get ported in though. There are similar cases, yes. But whenever we obviously examine them, like I said, in most cases things have been rebuilt, so it's not that we just copy paste the code. That's not how it works, and therefore we have the same issues. But yeah, there are similar issues that have been moved over for different reasons. But like I said, I guess I could bring Sebastian on here and he could talk more in depth about it, but I don't think it's that exciting for us all to talk about it. But it's interesting how some things place the same way, even though it's completely different systems and codes. Eight does some thievery and other features. So now, when we hopefully are done with Necro very soon, delivering that, we are building the timeline for a few steps. And that will also give us a rough estimate on where those features are coming down the road. So at this point, I can't estimate where and when, but you will see a updated roadmap where you can see at least the order of things coming into the game. Axe, thanks for the donation. Can you get the team to add more horse spawns? Map is huge. Losing your horse is agonizing, sometimes worse than just dying. MK especially deserves more horse spawns. The maps needs more. We have added a ton of horses. Latest patch, there are a lot of horses, and we also cranked up the respawn time. It was a very slow respawn time before, now it's very fast. So you can always rely on, if you've learned where there are horses, there are always, almost always, a horse in most of those areas. Since then, we haven't really heard of requests or complaints a lot in that area, so I'm sure that helped a ton. But like I said, obviously, over time, we will continue to see what kind of tweaks or adjustment we may have to do further. Quennicott, thank you for the Prime subscription. Yeah, and like I said, so one of the things is the points of interest also. When you see these big pieces of points of interest going into the game that are in all areas and all biomes, obviously that will also change hotspots and where you may wander around. We have been quite inspired by a few games that have done this very well, and so it was quite a struggle as well, because we didn't want to make the normal World of Warcraft world with go here to see this level of mobs, go here to next level mobs. We wanted to make a believable, realistic world based on real life rules, but at the same time, obviously, we want to make sure that the world is exciting, interesting enough for all players, new and old, to just go out there and explore. And there are tons of areas that feel dead and empty, because that was one of the first purpose, that it's meant to be a big open world with a lot of spaces as well to build and expand on, and there maybe shouldn't be just animals and mobs everywhere. But we're trying to find a good in between, where if you just head out as a noob or veteran, your eye will catch specific things that may attract you to go there. If you walk for a certain amount of minutes, you will see one of these things that I'm mentioning. So that is a way in game design also to make sure that you will always be able to find something when venturing out. And that will also obviously make it more interesting for all players, especially also if a new player just heads out expecting to play it like World of Warcraft. They will run into things. And obviously near starting location, it may be easier for the players. And then the further you go and progress, obviously the more dangerous it will become as well. This is something we have identified quite clearly as well since the launch of the game when it comes to new player experience, which is important we have a solid eye on and follow up on and improve on. Saffron, yeah, exactly. So that is why there will be more things also on the east side of the map. I mean, it's tricky, right? We made like the step is supposed to be a huge step that feels and looks like a step, and you can see very far on this open step. So again, it's a challenge to make that still interesting enough to explore, and also obviously you will not be able to see everything from all that distance across the whole step. So you have to still travel there to eventually load in those things as well. But there will be how do you call it? There will still be some things you will be able to see very far away from, which will also obviously tell you that there may be something here. It's worth going there. We have a lot of plans for the Tindrem Colosseum, and that will be somewhere on the upcoming roadmaps. There will be systems in place for the players to sign up and use those. There will be regularly weekly or monthly events that the Emperor is hosting, which you can participate in if you want at that given time or not. And you can participate as a player or a gladiator, or simply being there, participating, watching, and betting. And then there will be opening hours for players to manually place their games. You can choose between different types of rules in games, between everything from solo to larger teams, and set up the rules and also the bettings terms for that. So that is a cool feature we're gonna expand on for sure. The chance the patch drops next week. Yes, there is a good chance of that. Do not investigate your GMs. Sure, if there is anything that a player thinks is, again, wrong, foul play or anything like that, we always suggest to contact support, and those support agents will reach out to the different areas where it's needed, like discussing with developers or looking into the different staff members that are in the game. And obviously, if something is wrong, we will deal with it. And this is also why we have professional external staff members only. No player involved and anything like that. That obviously won't work. There will be an update to the trinkets, yes, the pre-patch trinkets in this next patch. That's something we're testing right now as well, making sure that that update goes correct. Thank you, Henrik, and your team for Mortal Line 2. Thank you, Track Courier 2001. GMs have been fine to me. It does seem like they can be a bit too lenient with griefers and people by blocking doors, though. So yeah, and like I said, along with those free gameplay sandbox mechanics, GMs gets a huge challenge as well. Every now and then there's a new case happening, and it's very important that obviously these GMs doesn't panic and start interfering in the gameplay, rather than, you know, making the right calls, collecting all information and data, go through it with the team leaders and the developers when needed, and then we can properly plan to make the right decision or adjustment or whatever it may be. Again, we have had experience of that in the first game, where we obviously were extremely eager to go in there, instantly fix and change and handle the players, obviously, to help them. But in almost 80% of the times, we jumped the gun too early and caused mayhem in different ways. It's very sensitive in a game like this when it's open, free loot PvP and very dynamic. So again, we need to be careful when interfering with the players, and that is also why it may seem like the GMs may not act in some cases, but they're actually following rules and protocol to make sure that we collect all the data, knows exactly what's going on before we can make the right calls. There are some adjustments as well to the Spiritism, so we identify some of the things when it comes to loot and such behaving not as the design, so there will be some updates to that as well. There's bugs involved that we have covered in this patch, so yeah, that will also affect some of the balanced areas and challenges. We haven't done major progress when it comes to animators yet. We are still working on expanding when it comes to animators. Like I said, it's one of the most difficult area to find senior animators. Like I said, it's an ongoing progress, and we won't stop that process until we are fully happy with that as well. And yes, eventually you will see more mounts either way. We have a roadmap for that as well. The Prepatch trinket is going to change going to work. So all trinkets have a certain cost requirement for what type of trinket it may become. So there's a system behind all of this, how that being generated. And some of the Prepatch got the wrong amount for their tiers. So there will be an update in the system that they calculate all these Prepatch trinkets and update them so they are within the range, and will update to the correct tier value as well. We saw a lot of copper trinkets going in that were supposed to be gold trinkets, for instance. And obviously those copper trinkets will be updated so they are gold trinkets, which means they have quite a bit more cost in recharging them. And there may be some correction in some values. And like I said, also, we are slowly progressing in trinket loot tables worldwide. So you will be able to get more variation everywhere also. So you will see that expand also. Do you have any plans to add demons one day? Yes. There will be demons, again, different types of demons, and they will more strictly follow the mortal demon rules rather than how they were implemented in the first game. They will be quite specific, and yes, eventually they will be back in their correct form and rules. Prepatch are getting buffed. No, they are getting corrected we're not buffing anything. What color would this cat be? So we had a Night Snatcher in the first game as well. It was quite darkish. Obviously it will get some fur, and the texture materials is the final step, and they will be put into the game in upcoming patches. Where Star Wars approaching balance the requirement to equip tower shields. So we're looking at obviously we're looking at the playstyles and builds player are doing now, and how that will impact depending on a huge shield being equipped on the back and also used with a one-handed weapon. So we're making sure that such huge shield with the increased weight also have an impact, as it is meant and designed to be a very heavy warrior's shield and be useful for being very tanky. Obviously we have seen many mage builds equipping large shields on the back and running, and there's no penalty because they're not included in different weight cost, etc. So that is the part we want to make sure that it is balanced, because now we are bringing the heavy shields that blocks everything. So it's quite important we get that right. Yes, you'll be able to tame this creature that you're seeing here. Let me jump down a little bit. I'm falling behind as usual here. How do you feel about Star Wars declining stock price since launch? I'm not too worried. Obviously, you know, share owners, depending if you're long term or short term, that affects your point of view, right? But like I said many times, I'm heavily invested in this project. I invested a lot of fundings in this project, and I strongly believe that over time we will reach our goals, and we need to make sure the core and foundation is correct, and then we will hit those goals over time. That have always been a goal for us as well. And it's also quite common that whenever there is something exciting release steps going on, along with that, obviously that pushes the shares quite a lot, mostly. And then depending on how the future next steps looks, which is obviously always a bit uncertain, especially if you're on the outside, which also obviously usually brings the share down. And that is a cycle of how it goes depending on our different milestones. It's quite common cycle for us. We have been far lower than we are now, but obviously we're also been far higher. Like I said, we are not in a rush, and we're not too worried, because the lineup we're looking at internally, finally getting that in place, it is very exciting things for the future, both for Mortal Lion 2 and the whole company. So I'm staying with my stocks, and those have been following, in our long-term investors are obviously in the same interests position. So it's going to be an interesting year when we reach those important milestones that is widening things for Star Wars and its future. So I'm feeling very excited now when I see those plans going into a certain order. And obviously that's also something we're going to communicate more in detail in the coming month as well for the market. Will all types of Tupilaks be added in patch? No, only one type of Tupilak. And it's the, I don't know if I could call it the normal traditional Tupilak first of all. And then over time there will be more specific builds for different types of Tupilaks. Is your beard naturally beautiful, or do you use specific beard oil? Haven Zero. It is natural. I don't use anything at all. I've been blessed, I guess. And I got any plans to fix balance the economy of the game since the problem bugs that cause massive amounts of cost to the game? Yes, that is something we're doing now heavily as well. We're doing quite a lot of things in the back end and making sure that there is correct amount of things that should be there and that the things that shouldn't be there are taken care of. And along with that, we're also adding new systems that helps monitoring and automatizing this. Sir Hob, thank you for the subscription. 11 months. That is awesome. Hello, will you implement pokeballs like in a popular game Pokemon where player can carry tamed animals as an inventory item? Pupula Java, that is actually very interesting that you ask specifically that, because that is something that we have in mind in a very specific way where it fits Mortal Online. But it's also something that is very cool and exciting, but somewhere down the road. It's not on the first batches of core features, I would say. But, you know, like I said, we're here to expand on Mortal Online for many, many years. And most likely this one will hit the game somewhere down the road. What will all of these goals help if the population drops too far? What can you do? What can you do to give better events and support players' events till then? So like we said, we've done this for many years, and there are, you know, it's the data there for us to use and see what's going on and what direction and why people are taking break is quite clear and understandable, and that's something that we're expecting right now in this stage. But what's important is, like I said, for the long run. Obviously frustrating for not making that happen now and quickly, right? We all want, or the ones that are interested in Mortal Online want to play it and have a healthy, huge population. And of course, that can be annoying that is not happening directly. But like many wise players have said, as long as the core and the game is stable and don't push out players due to very frustrating bugs, that is, you know, the first step, obviously, to make sure that we're not losing players due to that in the future for new players and old players. And then also we are identified the different areas, especially for new players, to make sure that we can get in new players, get them interested in, and giving them a fair chance to actually be interesting in the game for the long run. And then obviously we have a very good picture of what a veteran is looking forward to and what they want in the game as well. So obviously when these different things hits the game, that will obviously bring a play interest of the game. And looking at similar types of game that are being expanded and built on over time, similar to Mortal Online, there are many cases where those games have been starting invisible or, you know, without a player base at all. And then when those certain milestones, content features hits, that obviously makes the game awesome for different types of gameplays. That is also where we usually see a population rise. And it's important to make sure that all that works in place. So we are very, you know, we're following that progress. And that's also something we have communicated before the release of the game. You know, before hundreds of thousands of players discovered the game, before some big influencers picked up the game and made it aware. So we went from the shadows to reaching some publicity with those stress tests, especially, which of course is awesome. But then again, we were also early in the development. And also then we did communicate that, look, this is our game plan. We are looking to reach those different types of features and content down the years, rather than being a traditional game that is done, released, and then it has a cycle and then it dies, and then the team is working on a new game. That is not the model we are doing here. We're doing the same as with the first game. We're just reaching out to a much, much wider audience, making it more forgiving and understandable to learn the game. And we saw that work during the stress test, which was just awesome, even without a proper Haven introduction. So those long-term goals and milestones, I think, is very vital for Nodelines 2's future and growth. And that have always been the plan and goals. We just need to be patient and reach those milestones, not try to rush it just because we all want this feature and that feature. Let's just go straight for it, rush it out, and hope for the best. And there may be a spike with interest, and then it may go down because it may also brought bugs, and we have skipped a few other core features. So again, I think it's very important to make sure that stability core pieces are in place, and that we have the patience to let the game develop as it should. And in time, the game will speak for itself. If players are enjoying it and loving it, that's when we are growing, right? Thank you for a new game. Enjoy it. Can't wait to see what this game has in store for us in the future. Indeed, Paula. Indeed. Thank you. He has a blue bottle and he uses. I know, except that is true. That's the only ingredient I guess I use for my hair. I have a secret blue bottle that has salty tears in it, and you can guess where I get those salty tears from and where. That is my magic. On one type of Tupilak, does that mean any combination of 5 carcasses will result in the same outcome? No, every single piece affects the outcome. There are many modifiers to them. So, yeah, every single ritual pet you raise have tons of modifiers. So you can experiment a ton. Let me jump down again. I think I'm reading quite old messages. Taking out debt could really help Starvault. Have you considered it, even if it's only about 20% to your company equity? We don't see a reason for that currently. We are still in a very good position, especially for being a small indie company like Starvault. And we have a game plan. We need to stick to it, and we need to start deliver now, starting with Necromancy, moving forward. And when we present the roadmap and different steps, I think they're gonna be quite the buzz around Starvault and the development, and it's gonna be exciting for both share owners and obviously mortal players over time. Can't wait to play the game later down the road instead of now. I understand that, and yeah, patience is a virtue. Virtue. Can't speak. Virtue. Um, is there a plan to allow homeowners to destroy their own home? Yes, you will be able to deconstruct your own home. You will be able to trade it, sell it, and deconstruct it, or put it in upgrade state for your convenience. All you need to do is Ultima Line as a reference. It's been my favorite game in all time when it comes to Sandbox MMO, Ultima Line. I started playing that in a beta and played it for around 10-11 years when it was released. Awesome game, the best MMO in all time, in my personal opinion, and that is also why you can see we were heavily inspired by Ultima Line and have a lot of the same core elements in Immortal Line as you got in Ultima Line. We're just trying to push it even further and make it more appealing to a new, young audience also, not just the old hardcore MMOs, as I guess you and me, coming from Ultima Line. I'm back with AMD FSR question. AMD already released plugin for Unreal 4 and 5. Any soon plans? Mike Amorales. We will see. When we step over to Unreal 5, we will obviously see if that is as convenient as it was for us using the DLSS from NVIDIA plugin. Hopefully it is, and if it is, then yes, we will try to make it happen. And one NI player, is it worth playing because of the ping? I've been wondering to get it. The quick response is yes, it's worth it for sure. And the long elaborated debate that you will probably hear and see many times is that we have built a ping normalization system and a prediction system to make sure that you can play the game within a wide latency. And some of our best PvP players are from NA. We have Australian players that couldn't at all compete in melee fighting before this system. With that system, they can. Now, what's important is to have a stable connection without packet loss, no wireless or stuff like that. That will mess things up. And obviously, if you're going at a very high ping, then there are certain areas that will affect you more than with a lower ping. And there's a few things here that we plan to revisit and improve later down the road, that we still have some option to improve a few things, but only to a degree when it comes to what's physically possible with today's technology. But yeah, comparing latency, just like Counter-Strike or other MMOs or games like that, you can't. You're fooling yourself then. So yeah, ask real NA players that have been playing this game and know how to PvP and can compete at a high level, and you will get some information from them as well. The new PvP points of interest, you're adding tie into the lawless zones, or will blue players be encouraged not to fight other blues over these spots? So we're working on mapping out the whole world in where it's supposed to be not as dangerous, especially for new players around those starting zones. And we always talked about there should be from high security to low security to lawless zones. And obviously these lawless zones will come as well, which means if you go here, anything can happen. You won't be flagged or can't report anyone when being in this area. So there will be a whole spectrum from high security, which is obviously the cities, to low security, which may be around some of these cities where there are patrol paths or different outposts where the Empire is operating. 2 lawless zones, which there's nothing of. How come game masters do not let players what they did wrong after a punishment? We noticed that the communication is easily lost when chatting due to chat being spam or whatever. So this is obviously something we're gonna improve to make sure that communication from game master will be crystal clear. You don't have to find it in whisper or such. So we're improving that. The fishing titles, I fought hard for them, but when it comes to the prioritized order, but sadly, it looks like they didn't make it in this patch. Those coders were extremely busy on a big list of polish. But like I said, they are there on the table. So as soon as we possibly can, they will be added along with a few other titles. We have not to forget about it. The ongoing blue bottle, indeed, Anuxa. Indeed. That's the secret of not going insane and crazy. Being in this industry and being openly communicating with the community. It has its pros and cons. A lot of cool experience and joy, excitement. But also, obviously, there will be those that don't agree. And that's fine. But there will also be levels of where they express that in a very childish or crazy way, and obviously that comes along with this type of job. So the blue bottle is a good thing to not go insane, and obviously even better to have your awesome support along with us makes everything, you know. That's the big thing for us. Keep up the good work, Henry. Kralken, thank you. Awesome to see your streams as well. The new PP poise you're adding to tie into the lawless zones. Yes. Yeah, I responded to that one. I'm a little behind again, guys. Sorry. Let me jump down and try to stay up to quicker responses. So yeah, sorry if I'm skipping something vital. The blue priest outside dungeons have been removed in the upcoming patch, Yontre. Will anything about blue blocking be done? You have a toggle for it. That's why we built in that toggle. So you can't hit them at least, you know. And then other than that, that's one of those things that are, you know, difficult to address in a open, free world like Nodelines. Crybabies, just say it. I'm not sure if we did that little small adjustment on poll source. It could be again that we've been too focused on deliver necro along with the polish content. So I'm not sure at this point actually. But yeah, we have a list of where we know some things are underpowered and never used that needs a little attention when it comes to that. Will you ever do a documentary on your game? If I did that, that will be a story that people will think is untrue. It will almost be like science fiction. The journey is insane, and there's so many crazy things that you couldn't even dream of when it comes to making a freaking game that you just want to do because you're missing that type of game. You want to deliver that game that no one else is doing, and you know, along with that comes all kind of things, cool and not so cool. But yeah, it's been a crazy journey for these 16 years, and obviously we are not done yet. We have quite a few years of exciting things ahead, and gonna make use of the experience and knowledge we got so far to try to improve things. The necro location is a huge asset to the game in terms of different types of loots, rares, collectibles, powerful things, valuable things, knowledge. Obviously a lot of heavy tied to Necromancy school, but it also taps into the what I said before, the new systems that are introduced into the game and are tying into lore and information. So not only lore but also knowledge and power for the players to discover. A lot of different types of riddles and challenges comes here as well. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what you think about this new location. Like I said, it's not just the traditional go here, fight everything from easy to hard mobs, that's it. There will be more things to discover and play around with in a very cool way. And if done correctly, there will be obviously rewards. So we're gonna follow up on this whole content to see what the players think, how they experience it, and if we just want to continue expanding in that area along with additional schools and dungeons and locations. Please add separate sliders for incoming VoIP volume, in-game sound volume, because even if the game loud, it's still impossible to hear a lot of people. Yeah, IVR TV, I agree. I've noticed that a lot of people have the outbound for the mic extremely low. So you crank it all up and then bam, someone goes into your ear screaming and have it 100 times higher. It heavily depends on the mic and user settings. But yeah, maybe we can add a slider to make that quick adjustment for you guys easier rather than experiencing that. I know what you're talking about. I noticed that quite a bit myself. Yes, we plan to add a macro system in next patch, if I'm not mistaken, which includes you will get the hotkey to toggle criminal actions on and off, but also getting full control over your swings. If you want to do a left swing, parry, whatever, with the one button, you will be able to set that up. You'll be able to set up call the guards with one button and stuff like that. So more control for the players with this system. I was watching a stream talk about stream sniping. I'm going to do anything about that. So that is also a debate that are ongoing for Mortal Line, but also many other similar games. It is obviously a small problem for these types of games when you're streaming on different platforms. For us to have staff members going onto these different external platforms and monitoring things, confirming things, it's a big challenge. And this is also not just unique to Mortal Line, it's for all games out there. There are huge stream sniping scenarios for many games. And just for us, like everyone else, this is nothing easy to handle, especially if you don't have the manpower extra to put on this. So there will always be a risk in streaming a game like this where there are no protection and the game is free to full loot, full PvP and all that. So obviously that's something that any streamer needs to consider, that you may not want to go out when you have your pockets full of house deeds and gold and valuables, being alone and doing something, on a live stream. That could be a great risk. And it's also obviously the main problem is that it is pretty much impossible to have proof and catch anyone that are stream sniping, because you can do that in different ways. And that's how it's been for many, many years. And it's quite unfortunate and lame and sad. I fully agree. But I think the best tool is for the streamers to try to keep this in mind, plan for it, and embrace whatever can happen, and be prepared for it. Then there are cases that if someone is trolling and going overboard and saying I'm doing this stream snipe, I love doing this, and now I'm doing it, I'm gonna do it again. Obviously that's something that we can look into and maybe monitor and control. And that's what we're evaluating right now, to see what can we do with what we have currently. And we are evaluating that currently. But yeah, like I said, I don't think it's just, there's no magical solution that will remove it. And that's done. Because this is how it's been since Twitch started, pretty much. So, like I said, we're doing our best, evaluating every case to see what we can do to affect it. Because obviously we want to support all of our streamers, content creators, influencers the best way we can, because they're also helping us promoting the game, making it aware to players. So obviously we want to protect that as much as we can. So I hope this makes sense. And that we have to be realistic as well. If Blizzard can't 100% cover it, how can we? The Joe-san, thank you for subscription. Hello, mortals. Hello. So, yeah. So we have to see and follow it. And, if Twitch having some rules about it and not allowing it, obviously report to them as well, whatever, and they may do something. I'm not sure how they address it. But yeah, it's quite a bit sad for sure. Yeah, it's we may be fools for trying to do a game like a true sandbox MMORPG, and just being, right now we're getting close to around 40 people, but again, comparing it to any other game in this size that have a minimum of around 500 developers, 300 developers, and about 100 times to 1,000 times more resources also. Obviously, there will be a difference in how we work and what we can deliver and what is realistic. But along with that freedom, being independent, we also get the chance to get something unique. It won't be a WoW clone. It will be what we set up it to be, and what we have set up and explained, that this is the game we're trying to make, and these are the reasons, and this is how we do it. There are many of you guys that have been following this progression and understand that concept and what we are trying to do. But then, of course, there will be new players popping in that are coming from World of Warcraft or Lost Ark or whatever big MMO and compare it directly to those types of games and wonder why, you know, we have less manpower or more bugs, etc. That is fully understandable, and it's also always a challenge to kind of explain why are there differences and why are Mortal Line completely different from any other MMO. We simply want to make a unique, true MMO experience that is quite different from most games today. But yeah, it does cater to a audience that are more not as casual, obviously, as a theme park game where you're fully protected, no full loot, full PvP, and obviously that will make our game quite a bit more harsh. But it's also a threshold where we think that new players can be very afraid of that at first. But when they figure out that, look, it doesn't matter if you die and lose everything, because it's not something you grind for a month that you do in WoW, for instance, to be ready for PvP. You just go back to your bank or broker or craft it yourself and you're up running again. And it does give this unique experience of a real gaming experience. You get the adrenaline flowing, you get this, you know, rush, both for good and bad, but that's also what gives you a unique gaming experience. And I never forget when I get that experience myself in Ultima Line back in 97, 96 in the beta even. And that was awesome. That's when everything started for me, and I said, holy shit, this is something I want to expand on in future and play in a more next-gen game environment with a lot of players. And that is a new experience for a lot of players, because, you know, younger audience have just been grown up with World of Warcraft and all these WoW clones, theme park clones, and never get to experience that. So we saw a spark light up during the stress test when a lot of these players jumped in and wondered, what the hell is this? And played and said, holy shit, this is unique, refreshing, and exciting, and counts me in. I'm going to play this when it's ready, or whenever you get this feature, or whatever it may be. So there's no doubt that this game have the greatest potential to become the greatest sandbox MMO in all time. That's why we need to be very patient and make sure that the core and the bugs we have now is fully under control, and then we can start delivering exciting features and content as well in upcoming months. And, you know, we're stepping over to Unreal 5 as well, pushing one of the best looking MMO in all time to even better. And yeah, you know, it's most players don't know about this, that we are a small independent company. We don't have the giant company that are running everything. That would, one of the first thing they would do if they're running Mortal Line is, let's remove full loot and full PvP. And what is Mortal Line then if we do that? Do we still want to play it, or are we cutting the whole audience we have right now? You know, that is quite big changes for a game like this. So yeah, I mean, like I said, that spark that we saw during the stress test, we want to go full out and deliver this game how we plan and intend this game to be delivered and played. And it's gonna take months for us to reach those different milestones, and then of course years to fully deploy a lot of the features that we have on the roadmap. And then we will see how the game performs and speaks for itself. That's the big question, and we're quite excited for it. What am I looking at? And is the switch to Unreal 5 part of Project Polish. So yeah, this is a Night Snatch from the first game. So we're getting a batch of those missing creatures in quite soon. And yes, Unreal 5 is part of the Polish bug fix core fixes. then why not release in 2024 instead? So this we also discussed many months before during the whole beta, that look, we want to take it in different steps, and we don't just want to make a like Star Citizen have a forever development, no persistence. Obviously we don't have the marketing hype campaign to get millions daily that they are getting, so they can just stick to that. We are small, independent, and a nobody currently out in the world, which means for us to have a flow of support and progression that are interesting, we knew that we can hit a certain milestone where the game can start, it can be persistent, even though there will be tons of more features. One of the part that we underestimated indeed was some of the stability and capacity on the servers that obviously we could have hopefully somehow catch during the different phases, even though when we did a stress test for that very reason, to secure the stress and capacity, we fixed all of those issues, but new errors occurred when we hit totally new lines of pressure on the servers, which is very difficult for our independent company, where we don't have a button of a switch inviting 100,000 players instantly whenever we want to test that capacity, which again the Giant has. So yeah, nothing is traditional of what we're doing and why we're doing it, but there are always a reason behind it. And this was the game plan and how we can move forward and take those necessary steps, even though it may be frustrating at time and some things may take longer. But again, it all depends on what area we're talking here. There are, in all cases, a very specific reason of why we're doing certain things. DJ Jusan, thanks for the gifts. Let me scroll down again a little bit here. Looks like you wanna start the giveaway. Great job, Henrik. The Brazilian community is growing. Think about it. Thank you, Bruno. Thank you, Bruno. Nothing is traditional. Can you add wagons already so I can start taxi business? We need wagons. We need wagons. Hair design? What the hell are you talking about? Atlas, another sandbox full MMO, promised 40k concurrent. They crashed with 10k and server had 255 ping for weeks until nearly everyone quit. It is rough for everyone trying to do different types of world scaling, not just going the easier traditional theme park route, which is heavily instancing things and just scale up thousands of servers. That is not exciting for this type of game, and obviously it brings a lot of challenges. Haven's Hero, thank you for the subscription. Shall we do the giveaway then, guys? Let me start it 1 second. I will let you know when it's up. Yeah, the Mulvas and Lycators we need and want. So we have some additional options for mounts and obviously also some different tool options. Alufora 2, thank you for the prime. All right, let me see here. All right, I'm starting the giveaway, guys. So explanation mark MO2 to participate. Go for it. Yannick? Who is Yannick? I'm not sure who Yannick is. Have I missed something? um, What MO2 is the giveaway for in-game stuff? No, sorry, no in-game stuff. We have a giveaway. If you win it, I guess you can give it to a friend or whatever you want to do with it. Henrik, you fire before or after TC? Give TC and game will go big again. So both Unreal 5 and TC obviously is two big things, two important things for the game. And we're working on finalizing the timelines here. So we want to have Unreal 5 in as early as we can. So we have a high prioritized on that because it does help the game in several areas. Not just making it look amazing, but there's some big improvement for the engine where the game experience will be better as well. TC is two big chunks. It's the actual construction part with services to construct cities, and then we have the sieging mechanic, which is a whole gameplay. Again, it's like adding a game like Mordhau Chivalry into Modern Line when it comes to the sieging mechanic, using machineries and mechanics behind those different steps. Really cool things, obviously, that a lot of especially veterans are looking forward to, so we are fully aware of that. And we need to consider to split this up in different steps, in proper steps, so we don't just, again, bloat a huge patch having delays because there are always unforeseen areas that comes along with big systems, especially when we're rebuilding them a lot, which we're going to do with TC. So we don't want to be in a position, a little bit like it happened with Necromancy now, that we keep on going deeper in this whole rabbit hole, and a frustration happens because we're not delivering anything for weeks and weeks. So we are creating specific milestones for TC and sieging to make sure that this is a good natural progression in those areas where we can introduce them to the game, safe, solid, balanced, and with thoughts behind how the players use them also. For instance, obviously, if we add offensive machineries, we need to add defense machineries. But like I said, we can split constructions with sieging mechanics. They can be in two different separate patches. And the TC patches construction is gonna be several patches because, again, there's hundreds of features over time that we can add and expand on, and you also have great suggestions and ideas that if it fits, we're gonna add those too. But we have a core set of this is a good baseline for constructing a city with good services to offer. Similar way with sieging, we're gonna have a nice patch of the sieging mechanics with the supply lines, offensive and defensive mechanics. So you will see that order soon as well. But like I said, first we need to cover a few things at the core and fixing a few bugs that we all need to, we need to remove them. I'm scared that if we get TC before new continents, server won't be able to handle all the players coming back. Will continents be before TC? Well, Van, that is a good question. And that is obviously something that we have been discussing, and make sure that this time we need a plan B if we're getting out of control again population-wise, because there's always a natural limit. We have been working on that limit heavily. Now we don't have the same pressure and stressor, so it's harder to scale that up to see where we are at this point. And it's also only a few, we can only get so far by simulating to test as well. So it's still tricky, but obviously we need to make sure that if we hit that line and we have a huge amount of more players, we need to have a plan B as well to not push back the excitement again. So we are working on that. That is part of the reaching that big important milestones when we release the game as well. Close Necro to be released. If things go smooth during the last testing session now and during the weekend, we hope and plan to release Necro early next week. And that is, again, the big if we don't find bad things during the final testing sessions. Lady Lovely Lux, be patient and you will see some really great features come into the game soon. And along reaching those milestones, we're gonna hit marketing again, influencers, and get a new wave of madness around Nodelines. And hopefully you will enjoy it. We don't plan to wipe the game. We do, however, wiping certain foul gameplay and items in the game. That is something we are currently doing and expanding on those tools. So yeah, a lot of time has been spent there lately. Since, yeah, it's quite a bit more than those numbers actually. It's easy to underestimate the population just looking at Steam charts, which is quite off, first of all, and then it also doesn't show the whole timeline of active players. Don't care if people come back or new people come, as long as it's people being there. Indeed, maybe. And we will have all of it. I have no doubt that when we deliver those juicy features that everyone wants, new and old, and obviously getting that polishing state, we will grow moving forward. Just as many other games in the same category is doing when they do deliver great content. Will ever be able to be a very powerful mage without being an ugly mage? Fat mage. Yes, there will be schools that if you are thinner and light, you will have bonuses compared to if you have more mass to move around magically. So there will again be more options for the different builds. So also regarding continent and population, so now when we're doing the transition to Unreal 5, we also set the foundation for how we build the next continent in Unreal 5, because it's a little bit different on how we built the continent in Unreal 4. So we're doing a transition with the current continent, but that will also be much more effective moving forward with the next continent. The points of interest shown live are going to help a lot to give more options in being explorers, living out in the world, but also, you know, being trade routes in between and around player cities eventually. We will have bounty hunter coins exchange an upcoming roadmap. So when you can dominate or create a creature, in most cases it keeps the same attacks, stats, etc. will be changed depending on what it is and how you create it. But there will also be some of the more powerful attacks and special commands comes with Beast Mastery. And without Beastmaster now, those attacks will be either, in some cases, not be present, or they will be much weaker compared to, you know, a living one, especially if we're talking about ritual creating, recreating that creature. And also, since it's a dead creature now, it's not the same creature, so there are some differences with them. But overall, you will see, you know, ranged attacks will be kept. But like I said, this is one of the key balances as well. We want to make sure that playing a Beastmaster should be fun, exciting, and challenging and rewarding in the right ways, not just saying attack, move away. If you just say attack now, it will use their basics attacks as fast as it can, but it's really, you really will shine as a Beastmaster when we tap into those skills where you have to time those commands accordingly to make more powerful attacks, but that also put you more at a gameplay risk and obviously more player risk involved. Yes, Orbital Cracker, like I said, there will be some spells and schools that utilizing lighter mass rather than heavier mass. That should speak for itself. I want my tower shield. We do want them. Like I said, we want to make sure the balance is right. You should try supporting player events. We are looking into that. So as you may have seen, we are running some of our first events already, trying to map that out to be an ongoing thing and growing also. And obviously, if players is doing things, we try to see where it makes sense for us to make awareness at least and help that the way it works. So Razor, yes, that have been fixed in the next patch as well. So there's a few pets that can't be tamed or dominated, even though they have the exact same code and setup as any other one that can be. That is a compile error in the engine, which we can't just quickly fix. Moving on to Unreal 5, that's gonna change again. So depending on how much time you wanna investigate in trying to fix it in the old engine compared to having that already fixed in the new engine is a possibility that we are evaluating currently. So if anyone just tune in, exclamation mark MO2 to participate in the giveaway. I'm gonna run it in a few minutes. What is TC? That is territory control, where players are able to construct cities and hire different NPC services to pretty much run your own city, set your own rules, and open it up or have it more privately for you and your group. That's up to you. You will be able to build guard posts, alarm towers, and quite a few different features in the first batch. And that also ties to the siege mechanics, which obviously means you'll be able to have wars and destroy these assets with effective tools, but at a great cost. When will be redone for Unreal 5? When we let players to add player-made books to the library again. I'm not sure when we will get there, but eventually. Yeah, the giveaway will be pulled in just a moment. Explanation mark MO2, and I will run it shortly. The Belbus is done, and there's a few creatures now that are fully done that will be coming in the upcoming patch as well. Not Necro, but after. Yeah, explanation mark MO2 to enter the giveaway, and I will run it in just a moment. Yeah, the Night Snatcher was that picture. That is almost done now as well. So we saw some great models of wagons in some of the points of interest. You released all these, the same wagons that will be available for players. How are wagons coming along? Yes, those are the wagons, or some of them. There will be different types, from casual open ones to larger luxury closed ones, with multiple spaces for players to fewer spaces. They are right now, they are on hold. We are working on delivering Necro, and then we need to fix a certain amount of bugs that are annoying the crap out of all of us, and then we're going back to delivering the different feature and content that we have an upcoming roadmap. So you will see a general picture of in what order those things will enter the game when we update the roadmap soon. I don't understand the reason for not having ritual tables in the patch for houses. Them sort of know the damage issues. You could lock them at certain placement spots. Yeah, it's a tricky one when we know that there are bugs and issues involved with this that are going to be annoying. Do we add that function now, or do we add it along with when we finally fix the damage in houses, so that won't be an annoyance? I don't like adding features that relies on a feature that is bad or bugged, because it's gonna expand that experience for the worse. So that's why we have a prioritized order on these fixes in the upcoming patches, so we finally can get rid of those annoyances, and then we can also enable more of that features and content that rely on those areas, if that makes sense. You will still be able to do the portables at all time, so you still have the options. Can you tease some of the quality life changes that are coming? It's hard to keep them all on the top of my head, but there's quite a lot of cool little things. One thing that I just noticed that I almost forget about is when you have hotbars on your icons on your hotbars, like spells and such. In live, it doesn't say which one it is. So if you don't recognize the actual icon, you have to open up the spellbook to read which one it is, or such, you know. Especially with new school coming, that will take a while until you learn to identify those well. Now you just hover the mouse over the hotbars and it says which one it is. You know, small things like that, but very, very nice. There's quite a list of things, and especially bug fixes, that finally also gets into the game. And then we're following up with some very much important bug fixes as well. So we need to hit that a little bit more boring patches, but with that in place, we can finally move forward only. We have Necro furniture, quite a good bunch for housing that is not relying on the AI Namesh. It's a more recent update. No date yet on when Unreal 5 hits the patch. After Necro, again, it will be more clear timeline-wise where we're looking, and throughout these updates, we will be quite open and show videos and the comparisons from the old engine to the new engine, so you will get a good insight on that progression and how that looks and plays. And then eventually we will have a more narrowed down date for when we plan to go live on that engine. There'll be more points coming in, so we can keep the build we have instead of creating a new character. So trinkets helps you heavily with this, as you may have noticed. Finding those grand trinkets can give you a lot. skill point bonuses. And then there's another system, the veteran system, that comes a little bit later that will also give you further progression on your one character. So that is coming, at least. A Necro Dungeon feature new mobs, dead mobs rebounds. Yes, there will be new mobs with the Necro location. Quite a lot of content, cool loot tables, cool mobs, and it's gonna be exciting. I'm looking forward to lurk when you progress there. And I really hope many of you guys record first time experience when venturing through those riddles and tests, so we can see the experience at first hand to see what is exciting and, you know, how we can even make it better in the future. I'm sure it's going to be a great hotspot for everyone. Yeah, the Mulvas is coming back. Again, I can't say exactly when at this point. We need to deliver Necro and move forward with the upcoming roadmap. The tower shield needed a little bit more time when it comes to getting the balance right. So that is why we didn't want to push them in. I mean, sure, we were very excited to deliver them, but again, if the balance isn't right, many players are going to be a little bit frustrated. And we want to avoid that, right? When we add something, we want to make sure that it's on a proper level and we can enjoy it. So we need a little bit more time to get the balance right. All right, shall we pull the giveaway, guys? Explanation mark Emma2, if anyone just tune in. And I think it's time to run it. About Mage Healing Clade getting fixed. It's on testing. It's on testing. So as long as everything gets approved, we should have it. Can Mage get a 8th circle spell like invisibility? You will have something similar in another school, but not in ecumenical. Right, is it time, guys, to do the giveaway? Yeah, invisibility wasn't 8th, right? Corp poor. Invest money. Still getting explanation mark M2 signups. Let's wait until it slows down a little bit and then I will pull it in just in a momento. Do you plan on adding crushing blows and paralyzing blows to certain webs? That was a cool addition in Ultima line, and obviously again we're inspired by that. So yeah, we are adding, that is what we call the weapon group's special abilities. A little bit similar to that. So every weapon group will have natural, interesting special moves that you can learn to perform, which will have additional effects in melee PvP. So yeah, we plan to add a bunch of the different those abilities for all weapon groups. Phoenix Grab, we have a lot of Ultima Line players in here. Calvas Flam. Annex Pour. The fear when seeing Annex Pour and then Calvas Flam. You feel the rush, right? You know what's gonna hit hard. Can you name every full-time job position installed? You mean what we're looking for? We should update, if it's not updated on our Star Wars website, that we are almost on a constant eye out for senior coders, animators, looking a little bit into expanding VFX area as well. Mostly seniors in every category, because we are so bound to we don't want to have to dedicate too much time in learning a lot of the more of the basic areas. We want to make sure that they can quite quickly get into the deep development without holding our veteran developers back too much. We invested quite a bit in some younger or new developers, and they are now slowly getting deeper into the development, which is nice, so they can be more ongoing by themselves. But it takes some time to, especially in our game, to get them into our pipeline. I played Ultima Line since beta 96, and then when released 97, I played it for 11 years, I think. And it was a little sad times when Tremel got introduced. I think that's when they, hit back and split up a lot of players from the game. But yeah, a really amazing MMO, and that's why we are so inspired by that game, and why you recognize a lot in Mortal Online from that game. Who is working currently? We have about 40 people. I can't even name them all without having a list in front of me. Almost 40 people. The majority is not from Sweden now. We have more people from abroad, from different countries, Spain, USA. So yeah, slowly been expanding. Wanted to ask if there's any intention of balancing Thursa clades in the future, especially focusing on many low stat points clades, no professional related clades. So the clade winners or clade gifts as they are not gonna change, other than there may be a few things that we intend to tweak a little bit balance wise. A few things we want to buff and adjust a little bit. Other than that, we don't intend to change those, but we have further plans in the future to add another tree that goes into the different species within the clade. So the races under each clade may also give additional options, and along with that we may add additional progression to the clade tree. So that's something we intend to revisit. We decided that it became way too large of a project when we added all those different race lines as well. So for us to be, getting the core in place, we put that on a future stage where it's also natural to expand on it a little bit in the future. All right, explanation mark Emma2. I'm pulling it in 10 seconds, guys. Yeah, I agree. When AI bought Origin, it went a little bit downhill from there. I agree to that. We have an opening marketing position. We're looking into that as well, yes. And we actually hired a whole company team that is experts in marketing. And like we mentioned, when we went live, when chaos hit, we paused all of that. We're going to ramp that up at a high level when we're ready to hit the marketing and reaching out to more players again and starting the growth process for the game. So we have a lot planned for moving forward with re-releasing the game, marketing, start those influencer partner programs again. There's some giant streamers and YouTubers out there that are waiting to play more online, and that's going to be awesome. Yes, Stronghold and House bugs will be fixed in the upcoming polish focus patches. We have a very clear line of reported bugs, and we're gonna crush all of them. All right, it's already 5 times in a moment. Sorry, I get so distracted. All right, here goes. We waited long enough. Let's pull the giveaway, guys. Right, here goes. Here goes. All right. Good luck, everyone. I'm rolling it, and here we go. Boom. Total domination. And here. Good luck, everyone. Good luck. Should talk about your beard a little before the giveaway. I'm not sure what there's to talk about. All right, let's see. Who gets it? Who gets it? Boom. Congratulations. Accidental potato. You got yourself a key. Boom. Congratulations. Accidental potato. Rigged. Yes, knockdowns are planned, low hodo. Accidental potato, can you send me a little direct message here on Twitch so I can send you the key straight away? Accidental potato, there you are. Indeed. Oh, I see you have been a lucky previous winner of a giveaway before, a mouse hardware giveaway. You've been lucky with the pulse or with the giveaways. No, not the key. One of the hardware items back in the days. Let's see where I have the key. Quite surprising indeed. So here is your key. Assume you have a copy of the game already. Accidental potato. What you work on now? I have been helping the whole night with a few different things for the Necromancy patch. A lot of content that needs to go in the different pipelines. Been helping with that, and also working on some things on the backend office section. And now we're also starting to more in detail planning the upcoming patches, because we're pretty much done with Necro finally. So important we have the next working schedule project properly planned out, so that starts effectively directly after Necro. There is also an accidental potato. You are can we call players veterans when they surpass the 1k hours in game? What do you think, guys? How many hours do you need to be called a veteran at this point in time? $10K, holy cow! So we have no veteran almost currently. 2K, is that the minimum, guys? 2K is master, indeed. I guess 2K. For sure should be counted as a veteran player by now. But yeah, surpassing 1K, you know the deal. You know how to get going for sure. 7 hours in queue count. That has to count for the queue bus title only. You need at least 300 heads on your belt. I got over 4K hours and know nothing about extraction. For scrubs, that's actually, you're not alone with that achievement. Actually, there's so many different parts of the game that goes insanely deep that some players just simply ignore and don't fiddle around with. Some players goes only at PvP, some players goes deep at crafting areas, and yeah, there's always some fields that many players don't know much about, which is cool. I think there's always something to explore and play around with over time if you want to try things around, such as extraction, crafting, fishing, alchemy. Some people only do sewers. that is true. That is true. Yeah, there will be titles for extraction, fishing, I think alchemy. There's a few ones that we want to get in the upcoming patch that we need them. 2K hours, 5 accounts to be a vet. So we're counting the amount of counts as well. Is that a requirement? You can't be a vet on one account. Veterans is Modern 1 with over 3K hours who link their old accounts to Modern 2. That is hardcore veterans, I would have to say. When you roadmap, so sometime soon, I would say after Necro is live, we will try to update that. We need a little bit time because again, we've been so focused on Necro and put everything else pretty much on hold. When sub starts, do I need to do anything on my end to unsubscribe? So if I'm not mistaken, you have to actively subscribe when we enable that, which means no, you don't have to do anything if you don't want to subscribe. Give us a Zero Rat title. That would be amazing. Yeah, maybe. Can we get a new special bag for bags that can hold trinkets? We're actually gonna make sure that you can bag trinkets. So you will have more space in your bank very soon. Why not Alvarine and Argument on the screen? I don't know. We played around with a promo picture and we wanted to have up close nice details on the amazing characters and gear. So it got too crowded with more character on the screen. So for this one at least, we just went for a colored, I think it's a Tindrem female and the Thurstar brute in the middle. It's a really cool picture. I like it. But yeah, you know, there may be more promo pictures with other clades as well. This new tier world bosses coming with Necro as well. So there will be a few bosses. So one is big bosses that goes a little bit into the what I call tier 2.5. So it's not really the big AI brain world bosses like a dragon would be. It is taking a few functions moving forward towards that AI, but not really there yet. So we're getting to tier 2 and 2.5 bosses, I would say, with the Necropatch. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome to see how you battle those. Don't you think that makes no sense to possibly craft plate onward carapace, or whatever you pronounce it? Isn't better craft plate just with metals and deploy more laminated armors like colored Alvarin Tindrem? So Mats is pretty much in charge of the crafting system, and we have gone through that quite a lot over the years and reached the conclusion we have in game right now. And since all that time been invested in the crafting system and also to make them visible for with our character system, that is an insane project to remain in excellent performance when it comes to rendering a cost of a character with all these different unique builds. So we haven't really, went back to fiddle around with something that do work very well, and we're quite happy with where it is. So yeah, right now we don't really have the focus or time to spend into redefine some of those core rules, at least at this point. There will be a lot more variation and different types over time, including some material and resources also. Is Cleric XP for healing fixed in Necro? Yes, and it's going through testing now. Hopefully things are good and we should have that. Whoever have craftable minimum armors in a refined metal like a chainmail. Yeah, we have a little chainmail already in some parts, but there will be more light medium armors for sure. We have a huge list of armor pieces coming from all the clades and nations that over time will be in the game. But right now we need to fix a few things before we start moving forward towards those areas, expanding on those again. What are the plans of balanced tower shields? So we're looking at the armor weights and how that affects mana, speed, stamina use and all that. Again, we need more time to make sure that we have the right balance. We know where we want to put the tower shields. They're not just meant to be a free use for mages to have them on the back, because that is very powerful. You will have that option, but it comes with a balanced cost that makes sense. You know, obviously if that also start draining some of your mana regen, you have to consider the size of them and weight, so you don't just always go for the largest one. And of course, it should be effective for a fighter to have this huge blocking shield that covers a lot of your body. So we need some time to go through those scenarios until we feel good with delivering them. Can get more static dynamic spawns. We're looking to expand on that, yes. Especially with the points of interest going into the game now, in the upcoming patches also. You can get an option to decide if we're pressing F is taming and control F is dominating, or the other way around. So dominators can also simply press F like tamers and don't have to press control F all the time. That may be suitable, yes. Like I said before, we are building a quite robust macro system that is easy to use, and you can pretty much set up any key combination with this system to make it finally as convenient as possible for any players how they want to play the game and use the controls. So I think that could fall into that category as well, that you have options for that. A new point of interest next patch. I'm not sure how many goes into this one. The main focus I know for sure is that the whole necromancy area. It's a huge area with many different things bound to it, including some different points of interest in the world, and a few more secrets that will be discovered. I don't know exactly how many we're talking when it comes to the from small to larger points of interest, but it's an ongoing process. So you will see them going into pretty much every patch, including the polish patches. So that is some of the content that goes in. It's safe content that we're adding along with bug fixing and polish. There will be points of interest in the eastern part of the continent. All regions will get these points of interest. Scarce Knight and Veteran with higher benefits. So yeah, it's two different things, right? So we had a veteran system in the first game, which simply calculated your amount of subscription. That's how long you have been an active player, and you gave points for that to distribute those into cool capes that are unique, or the only way to get them is by spending these points. So I'm not sure if we're getting that back for Nodelines 2, but what we are getting is a different type of veteran system that actually builds your character. Gives you more options and depth also to expand on your character. So it's two different things, right? Why don't you add small things like new mount types in between big updates? I would really like to ride something else than a horse. It's not very small, even though it sounds as it's small. There's many components that goes into a new mount type. First of all, it's huge animation work, especially if it's something that is different from a horse. We can add a new horse type very quickly because it reuses the same rig and animation and all that. That's why we got a bunch of horse types. However, when we have a whole new type of anatomy creature, it requires all new animations. And not only that, we also have mount gear that needs to be rigged and skinned up on top of these mounts. And then it comes testing balance and all that to make sure it works stable and all that. So it's not a small task, and that is also the reason we haven't added them yet. We need to go through this process, and one of the biggest bottleneck is the animation manpower on that specific field. And the animators we have been quite busy in a little bit more core mechanics and buses and other things that we need before those new mount types. But yeah, like I said, we are looking for new animators, and we are slowly reaching other areas of animation work, and mounts are one of those. No domestication is needed for Necro, no. Will guild specific banners be a thing in the future? Yes. We have a lot of plans for allowing you to design your guild emblems, symbols, and obviously you dye them in any color you see fit that you have discovered in the game. So you will, with this system, be able to put that banner on your stronghold or keep or house and use that on your guild as an army to use on your decoration slot as well to display you are in this guild. So we have good plans for expanding on that or adding that system in the game. Yeah, the ritual pets doesn't cost pet points, but you can't combine a living pet with a ritual pet. They will not get along. So you have to pick one or the other to have active at any given time. Obvious balance reason for that, but also makes a little bit sense. I'm gonna approach this is when it comes to recognizing teammates. Like I said, the banners or emblems or whatever you may want to carry will help you to identify your guild emblems and colors. That is one way, at least. There will be more capes for sure. Unique capes, rare capes, yes. And other types of decoration, actually. And I remember spending Mountain of Gold on unique hues for my clothes in Neo. Will there someday be something similar here in Mortal? Yes. I did the same. Quite crazy. Spent a fortune on my outfit and colored it with rare dyes, and having those rare colored sandals was pretty cool, right? Doesn't buff you anyway, but you played in fashion, and there was a great long-term value in those collectibles. Pretty cool, and I liked it. And yes, we will have that in Mortal as well, both in terms of collectibles, rares to put as decorations in your house as display, but also being able to create. We're gonna have a millions of combinations of how you make dye colors. And some colors are going to be rare and difficult to make, but if you manage to do it, you may be the only one to have that specific tone of color and save that in one of your dyeing tubes. And obviously you can allow your guild members to wear that color if you want to. And that will help you to push you to look further unique compared to everyone else. Will these players who rough the hard times be rewarded once the game is ready? I mean, one thing that we're doing is that we make allowing everyone to play for free. We're not enabling the subscription, so you can play the game for free, even though it costs us tons of money every month to host it and develop it. But we think it's the right thing to do, to invest that in the game and make it as best as we possibly can while we reach those milestones. That's something we're actively doing for now, at least. Yeah, as you can raise a horse as a necromancer, undead horse. And plans to make currently little used weapons, pole axes, hammers, etc. more viable or better balanced. we have a pretty good picture of which weapons and groups are underpowered or rarely used, etc. And yeah, we plan to do some minor adjustment to those very carefully moving forward, and hopefully they will get a little bit more of an optional use for the players. But we're very careful not doing huge buffs, so we go back and forth and waste a lot of time on it. But we have a few weapons we know is underperforming and rarely used that we want to buff a little bit, because again we do want to offer many groups as an option, because a lot of content and time have been spent into the different groups. Yes, you will have different types of styles of houses eventually. So we have prepared a system already to allow you to change the exteriors and interior materials on the walls, so you can already get a different style there. We just simply haven't added a component that you can pick from, but it supports it for the future. And then we also plan to add the different styles, such as clade styled inspired house structures. So over time, and hopefully when we will keep expanding the team, we will see multiple areas being worked on simultaneously, and this may be one of those areas that also get to expand more over time. Send a list of all bugs as PM. I would ask you to send it to Robmo. That would be helpful, and he can try to keep track on it and make sure it's in the right area for the developers as well, and which one we have covered, and if there are some we may not have covered. Yes, there's an exception when it comes to having a mount and pets. Somehow they get along. And that is because we want to offer some options moving around in the world at all times. It's a huge world. And there may be cases where you have to walk on ground due to very specific pets. But in many cases, you will be able to use a transporting, such as a normal horse, along with a pet also. You can get an ability to beat open doors on houses. Not yet. It requires proper code support, and that ties kind of into the sieging mechanics. We don't want to add a band-aid or something rushed that doesn't make fully sense or fully balanced and ties to the whole system that is a robust TC and sieging system. We may, like I said, split them up, so we just deliver a good baseline of the siege system with both defense and offensive, and same way we'll do with the TC batches, starting with a good core batch of TC functions. Will players ever be able to marry? Yes, I would say so. I don't know how much support we need to add to make it official, or if the RP freedom handles it. There's always a thin line where, obviously we want to support a lot of RP functions and elements, but the game should also have plenty of room for made up player RP elements also. But of course, like I said, with as much tools as supportive we can do, because yeah, after all, it is a RPG game also. Total domination. You mentioned underused weapon balances past. What about underplayed race balance? Currently, the Korite are probably one of the rarest human, if not the rarest in game. Yet Alvarins are everywhere. Yeah. So the Korite was one of the strongest, most popular choices in Modern 1 due to its strong stats and bonuses to speed that was quite extreme in the first game. We knew we had to normalize that speed for all races to be, let all races be viable. So we already have tons of more options compared to the first game. But yeah, with that change, obviously the Korite lost a little bit of their strength due to that speed normalization, because it also, there's also cost on the strength of the stats comes with how many stat points you get to play around with for that race also. So yeah, there are room for sure for a small adjustment for those that got a harsher penalty this time around, especially with the speed being more normalized across all the clades. So yeah, for sure there are some room for slight buffs adjustment in some of those. Yeah, there are many hostile evil spells with Necromancy, which you shouldn't be casting near guards. They will act depending on the action. Speed should not be king. I like the speed as it is now. Yes, and that is one of the big achievements we did with the speed normalization, because yeah, speed was superior king in the first game, which eliminated 90% of the options, and that's it. Now I would say we have 90% of the options rather than the 10%, which is awesome to see all the clades have a good use, and there are good opportunities and pros and cons for sure. But yeah, like I said, with that, there are a few races that are that lost more due to that speed and cost with the stats that may require a little tweaking for it to be a little bit more on the sweet spot. Will you have to be spec as a mage to do necromancy? No. So what's interesting with necromancy is that you can decide if you just want to be a spellcaster. You can ignore the summon thing, and you can ignore the ritual part if you want to. So you can tap into, depending on what spells you want to achieve, you can raise your necromancy to that proper skill level and just utilize those spells. If you want to go full necro and also use pets and rituals, then obviously you have to invest in that also. So again, it's a very open option for the players. And of course, depends on how heavy, how much punch you want in the spells as well, how much you invest in the mage skills in general also to buff your spells. In the past Modern 1, it's pretty much, on the whole, we are fully focused on Modeline 2. And it is with some sad and pain in the heart to shut down the first game, but Modeline 2 will be superior in all and every single aspect, and just a very much improved version of the game that we designed many years ago that we couldn't achieve in the first game due to many lacking core features and functions and the engine and all of that. So it's a natural progression to move over to the new tech and engine, and that is Modeline 2. that is superior in all the categories, and very soon also surpassing the amount of features. Guards will whack your ritual pets. They don't allow it. Same with if you summon walkers. There's quite a lot of content in Model 1 for sure. I mean, we were running it for, what is it, over 10 years. So even though we were a much smaller team and things were very much slower in development and progression, and we had to take a lot of shortcuts due to the tech always limiting us. So we couldn't really fulfill the dreams and desire behind every single feature, which limited us at all time. Now we don't have that limitation in the same way, and we're expanding the team. We have more development, more experience, and everything gonna be much better. And as I said, soon we're gonna surpass it greatly with very cool and correct features without shortcut this time around. So Beastmaster will be used for specific commands to many pet types. So we have Beastmaster on the upcoming roadmap where that will fully utilize that. And there's a few decisions that we still have to take, determine what type of pets being fully affected by Beast Mastery. There's quite a few things where it makes sense, where Beastmaster also means you have a special communication with your pets. And since Beastmaster is also generic in that way that it is a communication way with pets, we will have to see if it's the same skill that can also tap into some of those commands for undead pets, or if that is a skill on its own when we build the Beast Mastery functions. And the function is what we want to utilize on all pets. That adds a lot of important player skills involved with using powerful pets, and that's something we are adding now compared to that we were lacking in the first game. So there will be pets now that underperform by purpose to not have very specific powerful attacks that they do automatically, because they're also prepared to or plan for being utilized when the players do the right commands. So we add that as a player skills. Speed is still king and will always be king. That is also why we're very careful about adding speed penalties on several armor gears, clades additionally, because it will very quickly start affect the speed in the long run. Now it's not, an Albarine that may have less stamina and all that, fighting a thirst or a human, whatever. It comes down greatly to stamina management. That is a huge player skill and important factor when fighting or running around on Mirland, which is often a outcome in victory or not. And yeah, there are sprint bursts that obviously is the strength of the Albarines, which can be very useful for both attacking and escaping. But in the long run, stamina management is still king. And since everyone is so close, just running without buffs, you still have control and options without it's, thrown out the window. So it's still, we have the options still for all the clays, which we never had in the first game. And yeah, it all depends on what is the gameplay focus here. Is it randomized running around PvP? Is it hot spots, fighting locations? Is it dungeon conflicts? Then obviously also speed becomes different importance also. And like I said, stamina management is always king above everything. If you don't handle that, then it doesn't matter how fast or slow you are, pretty much, in the long run when a fight happens. So I wouldn't say that speed is king in terms of Alvarins is the king. They have a buff and they have a small bonus, but like many have been asking that or giving us feedback almost since the stress test that please boost the Alvarins, the speed is not worth it. That's have been a constant feedback from many players that have been playing it quite a lot and testing the different clades. But yeah, we didn't rush into that feedback because, you know, we saw the data, and as we said, we didn't want it to be the factor that determines that now it's so fast that everyone needs to go Alvarin again. And yeah, over time this slowly usually changes depending on how people adapt and what happens in the game. And Alvarin is quite popular, but I wouldn't say it's by far the most popular build. It depends so much on the playstyle and what you want to do in the game also. So yeah, we have to see how things continue to progress as well when more tools and options also is being given to the players. Yeah, they can buff each other's, and you know, any group obviously can buff each other's in very effective ways using all the clades. They all have powerful use and can change the outcome if used correctly in the right circumstances. Yet we all hear is about how mages need to be balanced to have the protection of a shield, not how footies need to be balanced. No, I mean, we are giving mages more useful and tactical options now, which obviously benefits all sides and styles. Like I said, the footy builds are quite stable. Everyone rely on those heavily as well. And like I said, sooner or later we are also tapping into additional gear and special moves that the footies will tap into. So there will be more options. We just want to make sure that they're all viable in different ways, important in different ways, pros and cons in different ways. And then there will simply just be more of it. I mean, the Alvarin usually have less stamina, while a human or Thursa can get much more stamina pool. And obviously, utilizing the stamina regen correctly as the Alvarin, you can still be in the game, because not having enough stamina is also, king in the long run. And they all have important bonuses to that as well. We still want to be careful not just jumping a conclusion to change current popular builds. Very often we've seen that keep changing over time, especially when new skills, spells, and tools gets into the game. I still think we are in a quite solid baseline balance for all the clades. Like I said, there's a few tweaks we want to do, buffing some of the underpowered, not used things. But overall, we want to be careful going into one of the more popular. We don't want to gimp those now. We want to make sure that we may buff some of the underpowered ones to give them more as options for the players. Mages need to move while casting, and that is what I get with Necromancy in the next patch, Nilis. $2,161 still have not killed anyone. Loving this game, cooking, gathering, crafting metal, trading horses. Imi Zippo, You're getting there. That is some impressive hours in game. And it's not all about killing anyone or killing people. It's all about what you want to get out of the game. Doesn't human have the smallest stamina pool? It depends on how you build them. They're quite versatile how you build a human, since they also have the most of the race options. And they do have, in general, quite a lot more stat bonuses than the rest of the clades. So with that, you can build quite a lot of differences. Anabolic Asman, yeah, that is why we're not adding the tower shields in this patch just yet. We're not done with the balance because we know we have tested that. We put a tower shield on a small Alvarine and it's a running shield. And that is a big ass heavy shield, which obviously should have an impact balance wise, and that is what we are refining currently. Limit how protected shield on the back can become is how you balance it. If shots can still hit through, it's not so game changing. I mean, we use what you see is what you get. If there's a mesh and hits the mesh, it hits the mesh. We don't do as most other games, like it just goes through and gives a little bit less damage. We use real-time traces on everything, and that's what also makes our game unique and cool, when it comes to fighting. So obviously, if you have a huge ass heavy shield, you will have that bonus that you're hidden behind that shield and gets a lot of protection. But obviously, that is a very heavy shield, which will come with a balance factor that is also natural. You will not just be you're not as agile and swift on your feet if you're carrying a very heavy shield on your whole body. So that is the balance we're looking at. Undead Black Panther in Necropatch, yes. Panthers ever be tameable? Yes. Like I said before, we have a compile error in the engine that several of our guys have looked into, and it doesn't make sense. One of those strange things when it comes to compiling something that simply doesn't make sense. As I understand it, these have been changed quite a bit in the new engine, so it may not be a problem anymore in the new engine. So again, we're careful spending too much research investigation of why this happens in the engine. That is not as much on our side, and trying to build around it to make it work in a strange way. Not very convenient and effective. So we have to make the call to see if it's indeed fixed already when compiling it in Unreal 5, then it's already solved and we don't have to fiddle around anymore. We just simply have to wait until that goes live. Yeah, so all shields, we're looking at how they are equipped on the back and how that affects the whole balance thing there from small to large ones. So obviously, small round shields we'll also get some of that effect, but not as severe as the huge ones. The tower shields are huge. It's a big difference. No, we will make videos, in-game videos, and show Unreal 5 the progression, and we will have it on upcoming roadmap where we, in what order we estimate those things to be patched in, without having a date on them at this point. So that's what we're gonna update shortly after we have pushed Necromancy live. Kite shields is somewhere in between the round and tower shields, I would say. So when we have set the min max, which is the small round, to a large tower shield, the kite is easier to put into the same system. That shouldn't be as time consuming. So yeah, they will come somewhere next and just follow the same system pretty much. Just bought a DDR5 system. Does DDR5 run good on MO5 Unreal 5? Good question. I'm not sure how much you will benefit from those new memory speeds. I've seen some tests. There are some minor differences, whereas some games can utilize them a little bit more than some others. Same with programs. So I wouldn't say that the DDR5 is the big difference. I would say that the biggest impact for Nodelines is your raw CPU power, and then obviously your graphic card power. As long as you have good amount of memory, so you're not memory swapping, you will be quite fine on DDR4 and 5, I would say, without any, I guess, not a very big noticeable difference. Like I said, number one is CPU, and then number two, GPU, when it comes to the big FPS differences for Nodelines 2 and also Unreal 5 in general, I would say. The new generation of Intel is striking back hard on AMD. So yeah, I would go for a 1200 700K, yeah, something like that. I think those are the most optimal gaming rigs. I meant 12,900K even. Isn't there a KS version as well that just recently got announced that they are cranking up the frequency a little bit more? And I would say that one is, if you're not planning to overclock your own default K version, I would say the KS version is already clocked up, and that one is squeezing out a few more FPS in Nodelines 2 for sure. And yeah, as long as you have a decent graphic card, then you will be quite stable on that. I'm running one what the hell am I running right now? I have one Intel, one AMD. The shit, which one Intel was it now again? Was it 9900 KS? And then I have the 5950 AMD, and they're quite similar actually in Mortal. When can I plant my barley seeds, rice seeds, etc.? I even have spelt that I bought all the way from Haven. Yeah, so along with TC, we plan to tap into farming, which is when this gets into play. So whenever the farming function for TC hits, that's when you can use those seeds. Yeah, fast drive, hard drive is also quite usable for Nodelines, I would say. It heavily reduces loading times, and whenever we are doing level streams, it's also good to have a lot of memory, fast drives to make sure that there's no additional hiccups. But yeah, the CPU lock is harsh on Unreal 4, and that is supposed to be improved in Unreal 5. So we should see some nice improvement in several areas when moving on to Unreal 5. Yeah, the M2 NV hard drives is the way to go. They are crazy fast and removes almost all loading time. And that is quite impacting Modeline also. I mean, there will be more crop seeds and stuff like that related to farming whenever the farming feature comes in the game also. So we will go over all that we have prepared for that. And yeah, I don't think we removed it if it was in already. All right, guys, we're hitting over 3-hour mark, and I have quite a day tomorrow also, so we can be on track, and hopefully we will see Necromancy next week. That is the goal, if things go smooth now, the last days of testing. We'll implement FSR in Nodelines. Yeah, it depends on Unreal 5, totally. When we have taken the step over, we will look into see if it's as convenient as it is for DLSS. If it is, then great, we will have that support. Interior walls with doors. Yeah, we plan to add that also with TC constructions. Yeah. Can tell us what the farm will be like. How will you seed the land in Modern 2? So in the first game, again, we were quite limited, and we will take the opportunity to see if we can push it further as we would like it to be, where you actually manually put those seeds in the ground and have to care for them, and over time they will grow. The other solution, if that is not working with the whole network, performance, cost, all that, we may have to use the NPC farmers that do the work for you. A little bit too early yet to say what road we can go there. Remember ethereal horses from Ultima line? Can we have them? I do remember them. There was a nice pocket mount that was quite handy, but we don't have pocket mounts in Mortal Online, and we will have a lot more different mount types though, with different types of options in use and tactics. So I think we will have that instead. Have I ever played Dark Messiah of Might and Magic? One of the best Fantasy Star realistic FPS RPG games. Yes, I played it, and yeah, it was really cool. I liked the spell casting and fighting. It was cool. Next magic go after Necro. So we are probably looking at elementalism, because we have a lot for that already, and we don't plan to change it in a big way, just refine it and tweak it. So that allows us to add that school quite efficient and fast, and also because there's a few functions with elementalism that allow us to use free magical projectiles in the world that we can utilize also for a lot of other spells and functions. So it does open up for a lot of functions for many other schools. So I think it's going to be elementalism. And then we're looking at staff magic or mentalism or anything of your choice, I guess. But it seems like those are quite popular. Staff magic is one quite popular when it comes to us in the community. You should release other mounts before Necro, because otherwise all tamers are going Necro. Well, for you to... So, whenever you raise a dead creature, it's quite gimped. So, you can't just expect to raise them and you have a powerful pet or mount. You have to invest magical components to make them stronger. So, depending on how much you invest, it may become stronger and better, but it depends on that also. So just to get a good working mount, you still go out there and get it in real life. Or you have to investigate, research, and invest more heavily if you want to raise something that is more effective. So I wouldn't say it's going to be replaced, as they also quite are being used very swiftly consumed, as you may know. They are quite weak with the current armor setup options we have also, and since it's the normal horses also only. Warm unit, hey, just started playing, just want to say it's fun game so far, thank you. Came from Albion Online as my last full loot MMO, since they are going pretty Care Bear. Awesome, nice to see you here, and I hope that this will be your home for a long time. And right now we are in a rough state in between things, but with some patience and some time, we will be in a polished, smooth state, and then we will have some really juicy content and features coming every month moving forward. So yeah, welcome. Yeah, healing works on your pets and necro pets. When do you think the update will come out? If testing goes well and smooth, we may be looking at next week. That is what we're hoping for. Legalized Nahuat. Indeed. Alright, guys. So can an undead horse be better than a live one if you put in the best stuff? Yeah, I would say that most creatures that you can tame can be surpassed when investing top-end, heavy, expensive, rare stuff when doing rituals. So there's a lot to explore and experiment with, and it's also gonna the artifact modifiers are gonna grow as well over time. There's only a few ones with this first patch, and there will be more over time as well. I can't arrange smoke augment crack because they would die instantly. Only the augmers can handle that poison. On neck ritual, items like candles and artifacts going to be illegal in town too, or just magic? No, most of those items are not illegal. So neck is a new mount meta, because you guys didn't put out breeding in time, or other mounts. Tamer get nothing. No, I would say taming horses is meta, also after necro. It's going to be too expensive and time consuming to get that little bonus and just have it being killed in seconds by arrows. I don't think that's going to be the meta. I think just going out to tame them wherever they are in the world is going to continue to be a normal way to traveling around. Good morning, Henrik. I have an idea. What do you think about house mailboxes where you can go up to someone's house or stronghold and leave a note. That is a cool idea. I like it. We are actually planning to add note boards in cities where player guilds can recruit, put up different types of requests and recruit players. So new players can also go to this note board to read about guilds and sign up and contact those guilds. So a tool to help guild recruitments and player interactions. And this is kind of reusing the same function, right? So I would say that with that board system, I think we can adapt that mail system to houses also. I think so. But yeah, it's a cool thing. Able to give any more details of the updates to the task system and how new players will be eased into Milan. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of work and focus when it comes to this area, because that is, you know, like I said before, there's a gap for new players. They have no problems in getting into the game on Haven, doing those tutorials. They're used to that, right? And it's a little bit similar to other games to introduce them. The big gap happens when they leave to Milan. It depends heavily on what city they choose, and then if they just decide to, I want to adventure this as a powerful hero, so I just go straight out here in the wilderness and I go straight into a bear or a murderer, and some of them get heavily confused or scared. Some get lost and some stop playing, and some think, shit, this is for real. And you know, there's a lot of different variation here. So here we know how we can help that greatly by giving the new players a better chance, better introduction, and also way to introduce to them when they do go to Milan. They get this task system that is updated and much more robust, that they will feel interesting and innovative to start doing work for a nation or something. And while they're doing that, that's when they hopefully adapt and learn a lot of the different dangers and threats, and they'll also learn about the progression, and slowly, hopefully, they'll learn about the locations and navigation in the world. So that should greatly help new players in that area. So the task is going to be expanded on quite a lot when it comes to offering different types of work that introduce new players in different categories. If the ritual summon checks inventory for carcasses, aren't you concerned about people not being able to move when trying summoning? Yes, doing a ritual is a great task. Preparation, it can be valuables and rares and expensive things, so I wouldn't say that's something you run in mid-fight doing. Then you're killing yourself. And also, if you want to raise a huge beast, you need tons of carcasses, which means you may need a horse to hold the carcasses for you. So that is more a crafting process, and just like crafting your gear, you don't do that in mid-combat, right? Most likely, at least. So the summons, however, you can do in mid-combat, but they are limited to less powerful creatures generally, but used for various things. All right. I think this is it for me, guys. So let's see. Should we do our raid today? What say you? Who do we raid this evening? Run, Carney. I don't see him online. He's not streaming. Yeah, he is. Okay. Shall I raid Ron Carney? I never raided him, I think. Do we all agree? Haven's Hero. Haven's Hero. Is a total domination guy, right? Seen him stream a little bit. Seems like a funny guy. All right, let's do the total domination raid then, guys. So whenever you enter his channel, when I do the raid, we all type total domination. Agreed? All right, so guys, again, thank you for tuning in this evening on the stream. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you guys, covering questions and discussions. And like I said, we're trying to work on planning ahead for upcoming streams and events that's gonna hopefully be a little bit more exciting for you guys to see the development stages moving into Unreal 5 and a little bit different things and some playing sessions as well. Finally, it's been very stressful late weeks for me, so it's felt that it's always in the last minute I jump on here and I do the best I can, but it's still a pleasure to hang out with you guys no matter what. And thanks all for all supports, donations, subscriptions, and other questions. And yeah, I will catch you the next time. And let's do a little raid then for Ron Carney. And let's do this then. Start the raid. And yeah, as always, have a good evening, night or morning, wherever you are. And hopefully Necromancy next week, if things go smooth. I really hope that it goes smooth and we can finally get it live. So all right, have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next one. Good night and goodbye. Linison.